Today we're going through my 3DS collection, and now this time it's all the 3DS titles. Part 1 was all the DS titles which I play on the 3DS. This time it's all the actual 3DS titles, starting off with the Bravely Second Collector's Pack. Absolutely gorgeous box when you open it up, and it also comes with an Atlus special miniature figure. The box also has the art book underneath, which has some beautiful artwork from the Bravely default games, characters, scenery, etc., as per usual. But the value of this one never really took off. It's starting to lift, but the Deluxe Collector's Edition, and absolutely love that one. Great game too. So that's the first one on the list. We have the Kid Icarus Uprising. This is the box version, and this comes with the additional stand. Now, a lot of people say you can't play it without the stand, and yeah, it's the sort of game where you might end up with carpal tunnel, etc., playing it without the stand, but I actually play it without the stand. I have no problems. A lot of people do, and it's because of that that this particular pack has additional value over the standard. Now, I will say that this stand is not necessary. You could easily make a stand yourself out of a block of wood or something like that, maybe a piece of perspex bent around appropriately. To me, the stand was a bit of a gimmick, but I just happened to get it with the stand. Didn't even realise it when I was buying this one, because of the way it was advertised. I didn't realise it was the boxed one. I just got lucky. We have Pokemon Sun, and this is the fan edition, Steelbook fan edition. Also came with the Pokemon Sun badge. Whether that came with the original, I don't know. I would have expected it to have a bigger box if that was the case, but when I bought it, this came in with the rest of the kit. Radiant Historia. This is Perfect Chronology Launch Edition. So this one has the art book, etc. in it. The 3DS version is the best version to get, if you can get it. If you're a collector, there is a great DS version as well with CD, soundtrack, etc. But as far as the game is concerned, there's a lot of issues that were fixed, and additional content that was added with this particular version. So this is the version you want to try and get if you have a 3DS. We have Shin Megami Tensei 4, the box set, once again with the art book, etc. CD in there as well. So that was a nice pickup. This one, a bit of a holy grail item, Fire Emblem Fates limited edition. Now, ironically, because I managed to get my hands on a 3DS, new 3DS Fire Emblem Fates edition, which is a white one with the embossing on it, I actually have a second copy of Fire Emblem Fates Special Edition, which was fantastic. So I'm lucky enough to have 2 copies of that. We have Zelda Majora's Mask Special Edition, and this one, the steel book that comes with this one, I'll just pull it out, because as far as I'm concerned, bear with me, as far as I'm concerned, this is an absolutely striking steel book. Majora's Mask on it is slightly raised to the rest of the case. The back of the case, of course, has a lovely sort of purple, I don't even know how you describe that type of artwork, but it's Majora's Mask there inside, and the embossing you can see through to the back side there, but just the brightness of the mask on that purple background, I think looks fantastic. So that's that particular box set, and that is one of my favourites out of all of this, to be perfectly honest. I love Fire Emblem Fates, but Zelda is of course one of my favourite games of all time, or game series I should say. Now this one, not a big fan of. Squire's Loft, William Cage. Many of you will realise what this is before I even open it. This one, unfortunately, is not a great one. This is Fragrant Story. This is the signed collector's edition. It came with a bonus coin. I won't open it up anymore because this is sealed. I plan to keep it sealed. I did buy the electronic version as well, and when I bought the electronic version, it's at that point I realised that this was pretty much a money grab. This was not a game. This is kind of listed as the last 3DS physical game, and I don't think it should be. This, in all honesty, is a teaser or a demo. There is a promise of a larger campaign to come for those who already own it, and it was scheduled to come just before the store shut, and then it was talked about coming just after the store shut, that there was still possible. We still haven't seen it. Whether it's coming or not, I'm sure it will at some point, but based on the gameplay of the demo, it's not going to be a great game. But the thing that really annoys me is the whole purpose of buying physical editions is you have the games when the shop shut and you've got the ability to sell them. At some point the shop will shut completely and all the additional download content won't be available. Even if we ever get the full game, this will only ever be a demo. At some point the full game will disappear off the shops, off the availability of the internet, and the only thing that we'll have left is this crappy little demo. So basically it's for hardcore collectors only. It's one of those ones that leaves sour grapes for me. We then have Chibi Robo Ziplash with the amiibo. A lot of people don't like this at all, and it got a really bad rap. I kind of don't mind it. It's a fun little game. It's easy. There's not a lot in it. It's a little puzzle adventure type thing, and I find it rather enjoyable. So up here we have Bravely Default second layer. We also have Bravely Default, so it's the first one. Fantastic game. We've got Fantasy Life. It's another one that people love to collect. Great game. We have another copy of Bravely Second End Layer, and this one was actually bought by mistake. I wasn't thinking when I bought it, forgot that I had the collector's edition in the background, so I ended up with that twice. I have Fire Emblem Awakening. Now I've actually just recently sold a copy of this one, but I still have two copies and they're both American releases. The one I sold was actually an Australian release, but two copies of the American release of Fire Emblem Awakening there. We've got Animal Crossing Welcome Amiibo and also Animal Crossing. So these are both New Leaf. The difference being that on the Select version had the Amiibo functionality built in. This one required a separate download or device or something. Not sure what. I only ever played with the Amiibo compatible version. We have Fire Emblem Shadows of Valencia Echoes. This one is sealed. Didn't realise it was sealed when I bought it, so that was kind of Bit of a bonus from a value point of view, but it's a pain when you want to play it because it's always difficult to pull the wrapping on a copy where it's gained in value. Now, that sort of leads to saying, hey, buy a copy that's not sealed and sell the one that is. But by the time you accommodate fees, etc., quite often that doesn't actually work out and you end up coming out about equal or possibly losing money. In some cases you can gain, but the question is it worth it? So I'll probably open that at some point. But yeah, at the moment it's sealed and it's one of those ones that's on my backlog and I'm sort of feel a bit strange about it. We have Fire Emblem Warriors. Now this one is one that was exclusive to the new Nintendo 3DS. It required the extra CPU power of the new 3DS to play effectively. So that one is one if you are collecting specifically exclusives for the new Nintendo 3DS, that's one that you need on your list. We have Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. Very enjoyable Batman. Never been massive on Batman, but there you go. Fantastic game for the 3DS. It is available on other systems, but the 3D imagery that you get when you play on the 3DS with the 3DS enabled, or with the 3D enabled, it looks fantastic. It's a great Metroidvania type game. And this one, as far as I'm concerned, is one of those classics. It's great that it's available on other consoles, but this is the way to play it. Now, I spoke of Squire's Loft and Fragrant Story, and I do have a video on that separate that you might want to go and have a look at, which is Smelly Memo. That one should not be, but this one should be listed as the last game that came out physical. So Androgynos 2. There was an Androgynos 1. I can't remember what console it came out on, but it was a bit of a classic. It disappeared on any development for some time, and then this one popped out. It's a limited release on the 3DS. It did come out on other consoles, and it was limited release on those other consoles as well. But this, in my book, is realistically the last game, full game, that came out on the 3DS. This one being 4,573 of 6,000. So I didn't get it near the top of the list, but to be perfectly honest, I don't care. All I cared about was getting it. And I haven't played it on any of the consoles, but the reports are it does play better on the other consoles. But I can tell you now, I still had a lot of fun with this, playing it on the 3DS, and every now and then I go back to it. Shmups isn't really my thing, but that one I find rather enjoyable. Another one that people love to get their hands on, and to be perfectly honest, it's a great little game, is Ever Oasis. It's one of those ones that you can put aside for a while, pick up, do a little mission on it, come back and slowly build up and work your way through. And it's really cute setup and quite enjoyable mechanics on it. Enjoyable game. Price has gone up a lot on this one. A lot harder to come by than it used to be. If you come across it, worth grabbing. Angry Birds Star Wars Edition, never played it. I've played Angry Birds of various kinds on my mobile phone over the years, over the decades. Haven't played this one, haven't played any of them on 3DS, but this one apparently has exclusive new levels, and I probably will get around to playing it at some point. Another one that you see bouncing around, it's not overly expensive, although it has jumped up a couple of times but came back down. Cubic Ninja. I haven't played it myself yet, but it is on my backlist to play. Spy Hunter. I used to love Spy Hunter in the arcade. The original Spy Hunter in the arcade was one of those games I used to always go back and play, along with Gauntlet and Gauntlet 2. They were my favourite games in the arcade. That's why I bought it on the 3DS. Unfortunately, it didn't quite live up to the arcade version. It's been modernized. It's still got some fun, but the controls aren't quite right. The controls that are correct are the default controls, but for the love of me, I cannot find what's set up as the boost button, so I've had to go to alternate controls for the boost button, and the selection of weapons isn't quite as smooth, which is disappointing because there's a couple of buttons on the new 3DS that are sitting there unused, that are spare. They function in the game, but for things that you really don't need, like a handbrake, you've got brakes, you don't really need a handbrake in this game. There are points you can use it and it makes things a little bit smoother and quicker stop, but it's not really needed, whereas the boost is. So really bizarre choice in controls by the developers there. I'm not sure they actually played it on the 3DS themselves before they released it, because it just stands out as a problem. Metroid, Samus Returns. This is another one where I've got 2 copies. We'll come across the other one soon, I'm sure. Unfortunately, this one, it did get some water damage, and it's currently cartridges isn't in there because I'm playing it at the moment. But unfortunately, it did get some water damage by the previous owner when the cartridge was out. The cartridge is fine, it's undamaged, it's not a problem, but it has affected the paper on the slip, and it put some wrinkles in it. They tried to iron it out, but it's knocked some paint off on the cover. It is the original cover, but unfortunately it just deteriorates the value a little bit because of that. It looks okay when you just look at it, but when you look closer you realise, no, there's something not right about it. So that one's a shame. However, I do have another copy of it that's sealed and perfect. Steel Diver, one of the release titles. I have it because I picked it up in a bundle. I've never got around to playing it. Been mixed reports on it. Some people like it, some just think it's not worth it. I don't know. It may be something that I play at some point, but yeah, release title. Story of Seasons, another one that is one of those must-get titles on a lot of people's lists. I've never been a big farming simulator player, but as a collector, yeah, I picked it up early at a reasonable price. That's gone up a lot. Ironically though, Story of Seasons Fairy Tale returned to Popolocra. I don't know how to pronounce that. That one didn't go up in value for ages. It started to now, but I think you can still pick that up for a reasonable price. But that's another one of the Story of Seasons series, which generally people do chase. Lord of the Rings, Lego edition. I actually played through this one recently. I've never picked up the Lego editions, but I managed to get some in a bundle. I wasn't chasing the Lego stuff, but because I got it, I thought I'd chuck it in and have a look. And I actually found the humour on the cutscenes of this really enjoyable. The game itself is pretty basic. There is a after-game play available, or free play available. I just played through the main game, but the free play activity basically is collection, if you want 100% it. And there are areas in the main play that you can't access except for with specific characters that you can only get in the free play. So it is going to take you into new areas that you don't get in the main game. You can see them there, you just can't access them. So, it could be interesting, I don't know. But like I say, the humour in the cutscenes is, it's quite cheeky, and keep an eye out for it. I actually quite enjoyed that. And it sort of made me have a rethink about having a look at the rest of the Lego games on all the consoles. Chima, Level's Journey. It appears every third bundle you see has got a copy of this. Not expensive. I don't know whether it's any good or not, but the fact that so many people have it makes me think maybe it's a good game to look at next in the Lego series. Another Nintendo Select one, Star Fox 64 3D. Yeah, who doesn't love Star Fox? Great play. We have another copy of Pokemon Sun. This is the just standard game, no special edition on that one. Actually picked it up in a bundle. I was chasing some other Pokemon. In fact, it was Ultra Moon I was chasing, and I picked that one up while I had it at the same time. Super Smash Brothers for the 3DS. A lot of fun. I don't care what console you're playing it on. Smash Brothers is always a blast to play. And I'm not even sure whether you can play with anyone else on this, but I've just played it by myself, just quick games here and there when I'm looking to waste some time. Tales of the Abyss. You don't see this one very often, but more recently I've seen it pop up quite a bit on people's lists of they want to get their hands on it, etc. It was one that was sitting reasonably high in price. It started to drop off in price, but I've seen it slowly picking up again as people are trying to complete their collections. So I think that one kind of got additional focus with the closure of the eShop. People realising that it exists and chasing it for their collection. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Any console, any Turtles game is always a fun beat 'em up. You can't go wrong. We have Splinter Cell 3D. I have liked Splinter Cell. I used to play it on the PC quite a bit. Haven't got around to playing this one. I'm not sure how it'll go, but it's a good stealth action one. And I quite enjoy a good stealth game. So this one is on my backlist to actually play. Haven't got around to it yet though. Ultimate NES Remix. This one was one that it's one that's made up of a heap of different games out of the NES range and sort of mixes them up and gives you the best out of all the classics. This one has been going up in price, and in fact with this one I managed to pick up the cartridge by itself, and I kept an eye out. It took a while, but I eventually got a matching cover. So the cart is Oz, the cover is Oz. What took so long is I come across plenty of covers available for USA, but not many for Oz. So to finally come across one, and it was a reasonable price too, which was a bonus. I ended up completing that pack for less than what I could buy it for complete, which was really nice. So that one's been added to my collection. It's a fun one to get your hands on. Alrighty, this is another new 3DS exclusive, Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. I haven't played it through completely, but I have played a fair bit of it. Still working on it. And yeah, it is a massive game. It's amazing that they got this to play on a console like the 3DS. I have no doubt that it did require the power of the new 3DS. I can't see how it would play on any of the earlier ones. But yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles, everyone knows it. 3D version, it's great to play. The visuals on this when you're playing are magnificent. I really love it. But it is a massive game, and I don't generally have a lot of time to sit down for hours to play. So I tend to play short bursts a lot more than anything else. We have Yoshi's New Island, and I mean, come on, it's Yoshi. Anything in the Mario franchise is always going to be fun. We also have Yoshi's Woolly World, and we have, I'll show them in another video, but I do have all the yarn amiibos for this. So I've got the Mega Yarn Yoshi, the pink, blue and green smaller Yoshi, and Poochie. Wrapped that I have those in my collection because they're going up in price, and although they're still very easy to get, except for Poochie. He does pop up every now and then, but at quite a large price. We have Yokai Watch, the first one. We have Yokai Watch 2, Fleshy Souls. Now, I've played through the first one completely. I've still got to play through the second one, but I don't think I'll be playing Fleshy Souls. I don't think I'll be playing Bony Spirits. Not that they're not good games and they're exclusive characters in each of them, but the one that I'm looking forward to is Psychic Spectres. Now, ironically, there was a period Psychic Spectres was going for a lot of money, and for some reason, I don't know whether it was a reprint or someone found a bunch of cartridges in a warehouse or what, but all of a sudden there was a couple of sales popped up, brand new, sealed, at normal retail, which was about half the price they were going for of Psychic Spectres. So I picked one up as an investment, because the next thing that I was really chasing that was going to cost me more than I'd like to purchase on a game, and I was looking to offset it, and this is how I was looking to offset it, was Yokai Watch 3. And this one just keeps going up. I'm glad I bought it when I did, and when I sell this one, the price difference of this one actually makes this one reasonably in my book for what I paid for it. I won't disclose what that is, but it's substantially less than what they're currently going for. There are, of course, another area of the Yokai Watch range, and blasters is where we're going there. I have White Dog Squad. I don't have Red Cat Core. I'm keeping my eye out for Red Cat Core at a reasonable price. Once in a while, one drops in on eBay. Still a little bit more than what I'd like to pay, so I'm keeping an eye out through my hunts. But to get one in English pop up, they pop up in French and Spanish all the time, reasonably cheap, but I'm not prepared to buy that. I'm looking at either US, UK or Australia, but I do at least have White Dog Squad. That is the cheaper of the two. We have The Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds, and this one, I just love the cover and the gold flicking through on this cover. I absolutely love. But Link Between Worlds, one of the classic Zeldas, well worth a play. We also have Ocarina of Time 3D, and another one, that lovely gold reflective cover, and also a classic of all time in the Zelda collection. Now, ironically, I'm pointing out these at the moment when everyone is talking about the new release of the OLED Switch with the gold controllers and how they look fantastic. I've purchased one of those. I'm waiting for it to turn up, but unfortunately in Australia they don't get released until the 12th of May. So while they're talking about it all over YouTube in America, at the moment we're still a couple of weeks off in Australia. We've got to wait, so I can't talk about that yet, but at least I can flash you a little bit of gold with these two. We do have, for some reason, a second copy of A Link Between Worlds, but this version is not reflective like that first one. And reason being, I have no idea. They are both Australian release. Why one is so reflective on the gold and the other one isn't makes me wonder if one of them is legit. I don't know, but yeah, we've got two copies, and the reflective one is the one I'll be keeping. Certainly something I should be looking into to figure out why there is that difference between the two. Hometown Story, another one of those farming type games. It's in my collection because I picked it up somewhere, but not one that I really play. Hyrule Warrior Legends. This is another one that I haven't got around to playing. A lot of people love it, but I've not really ever got into the Warrior games. But apparently there's a bit of story there that I need to go through. Another one that I've picked up with no actual intent of playing, but it came in a bundle. Imagine Fashion Designer 3D. I'm sure someone will find that a lot of fun. Not my cup of tea. Inazuma 11 Go Shadow Force or something like that. Inazuma 11 isn't something that I've ever got into, but it is one that it's kind of starting to go up in price. Not Shadow Force, Go Shadow. Easier to read on the side. It has been going up in price, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. We've got a couple of other ones that are loved by many, and it's around the Kirby franchise. So we've got Triple Deluxe, of course, favourite one for many. Planet Robobot. This is another one where I got extremely lucky in that I was able to find it in a bundle. And it was a 3DS console bundle for $200. And I collect the new 3DS, not the 3DS. Had a bunch of games with it, and this one. So I grabbed them all, and the 3DS itself I sold for $200 and got all my money back. So this one is actually a complete free one in my collection. So if you want to know how you can get some good games free, keep your eye out on Facebook Marketplace, on Gumtree, on eBay, on garage sales. Keep your eye out for those bundles where you've got stuff that you don't need, you don't want, that you can sell and make your money back, so you can hang on to the things that are in there that you do want. And that's one of those ones where I was able to get that at a non-price or fantastic price, simply because there was something there that I didn't need, didn't want, but had value. Disney Magical World 2. Disney's always quite a bit of fun with the Mickey bouncing around, kind of 3D platformer type stuff. We have Mario Golf World Tour. Unfortunately, it's an EB Games cover on that one. Mario Party Star Rush. Mario Kart 7. So a few Mario things. And just to follow up, Mario Kart 7 again. Then we have Paper Mario Sticker Star. Once again, one I haven't played. Do love Mario, but haven't played that one. New Super Mario Brothers 2. Yeah, this is a great one. Pick up, play a few levels, work your way through it. But who can go past Super Mario 3D Land? One of the all-time classics. Well worth a play. Great one to get into. And here we have my other copy of Metroid Samus Returns, and this one came to me not only sealed but in a protective case. The seller of this really knew the value of what they were selling, but I also bought it really early when it was not being picked up by anyone, so I got this one at a great price, and that one's a bit of a longer term investment, because this one I think will just keep going up. When Metroid Samus Return came out, it was towards the end of the 3DS cycle. A lot of people were moving away from 3DS to Switch, and they weren't interested in buying games. This game came out, kind of snuck under the radar a little bit, but being a Metroid fan, I couldn't pass it up. I had to pick it up, whether it turned up on another console or not. This is a remake, but a lot of people have complained about the defense and shoot mechanic in this. I actually enjoy it. I actually enjoy this a lot more than the original, which, a lot of people say the original's a lot better. But I just really enjoy the mechanic and the graphics, and I think it's a fantastic run up to what they've been doing with the Switch. Great precursor to Metroid with Emma. We have Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. This one I played a bit, but I found that the use of the additional little thumbstick on the new 3DS, for me it seemed to get a little bit sweaty or something, and after a little bit it became slightly difficult to control, and because of that I've never played it through completely. One that I haven't played but is in my list coming out of another bundle, and I'm pretty sure the cover is a reprint cover. Yeah, absolutely, it's a reprint cover. Here's Moshi Monsters, Katsuma Unleashed. I know nothing about this one. This one is an old PC game, Myst. I found it quite surprising that it was on the 3DS, but I have a lot of nostalgia for Myst, and when I saw it on the 3DS, it was one that I kept an eye out for, and it always seemed to be way more in price than what I was willing to pay. And eventually I come across a bundle that had it in it that sort of as a bundle lot, it was a reasonable price. So I was able to pick that one up, which is just one of those things that says, you know, if you can't find it, hang on, it will turn up. Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth. This is with the bonus art book included inside. It's a sealed copy. I haven't opened it. I didn't know it was going to be sealed when I bought it. It wasn't advertised as sealed, and the pictures weren't of the one that turned up, because the pictures were unsealed. They showed inside the box, etc. Turned up sealed, which was frustrating because I wanted to play it and I didn't want to open it. So, yeah, it's one of those ones where, what do you do? I haven't played that yet. Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth, have played though, and absolutely love it. Which dictates at some point I'm going to rip the cover off this. I just don't know when. It's one of those ones that I'm antsy. I've got plenty of others on my backlog to play that I don't have a cover on. So that one might take a while before I get to it. Strangely enough, once again, I've ended up through bundle buys with 2 copies of Persona Shadow of the Labyrinth. Can't really explain that one, but there it is. Fossil Fighters Frontier, supposed to be kind of like a Pokemon thing, only chasing fossils. I haven't played it, don't know much about it. Picked that one up in a bundle as well. Memories of the, I'm going to say this wrong, Shinsengumi Hakoiki. I have played some of this, not a great deal, but it is one that's on my list to get into and really play through at some point one day. We have Harvest Moon Skytree Village. Now you hear a lot about Harvest Moon. I never really hear anyone talking about Skytree Village. I have a copy of it. I've got a funny feeling that's one that will go up in value over time. Heroes of Ruin. This is a great game. I mean, effectively, you know, if it's got Square Enix on it or Atlus, they're 2 developers or 2 studios that you can pretty much count on the games being good. Heroes of Ruin you don't hear a lot about, but it's another one of those great titles. Hey Pikmin, puzzle platformer. You know, it's enjoyable, bit of fun. Haven't played the other Pikmins. I understand that it doesn't play like those, and because of that a lot of people hate it. I actually enjoy it, and it may be because I haven't played the other Pikmins that I enjoy it. I don't know, but there it is. So we have that one in there. We have Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. Of course, everyone knows Pokemon. You can't go wrong with a good Pokemon, and you have to follow up with Omega Ruby. And when you get into the Pokemons, we start to get into the points of, you know, arguments about what the best games are. But Pokemon Ultra Moon is certainly one of those ones that are up there in the top range. For some reason we have another copy of Pokemon Sun. I've obviously picked that up somewhere. But we also have Pokemon Ultra Sun. Now, the Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun, they're the better ways to get them. Unfortunately, these do cost more these days, but the Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun do have the extras in them. They're effectively the same game as Sun and Moon, but they do have the extras in them, as I understand it. So they're the better versions to get. We also have Pokemon X, Pokemon Y, and of course another copy of Pokemon Y. Where I have these duplicate copies, at some point I'll be selling those down and they will help pay off for other games that I'm chasing. But for the moment I've been hanging on to them, but they are getting close to the point where I'll be putting them up for sale. We also have Super Pokemon Rumble. This is turning into quite a long video, but we are almost finished, people. We have Puzzle Bubble Universe. I'm not sure this is one that was on the American list, but it is a Square Enix title. But it is a Puzzle, can't even say it, Puzzle Bobble title, and Puzzle Bobble is always a great little fun game to play through. It's one of those arcade games that is enjoyable if you had a bit of time. Just a short amount of time. It was a great one to jump onto, especially at the fish and chip shops and things like that. Understandably, in my book, why Square Enix had put it out. Room Factory 4. It's another one that people tend to chase, RPG. Haven't played it myself yet, but it is certainly on my backlist to play. Looking forward to getting into that one. Chronicles Samurai Warriors. This is another one where I've picked it up somewhere, but it's not really my cup of tea. Like I say, the Warriors games don't really do it for me. Sega 3D Classics Collection. This is one of those ones where if you can find it and grab it, do. It's got a lot of great games on it that you won't find necessarily elsewhere, including Altered Beast and of course Sonic the Hedgehog. So even just for those two, in my book, this is worth getting, but it's got quite a few other classics on it as well. Keep your eye out for it, grab it if you see it. Then we have a couple more that turned up sealed. Devil Survivor 2, Record Breaker, and this one has gone up substantially in price, which makes it even harder to rip that plastic cover off. We have Devil Summoners Soul Hackers, once again, turned up in sealed condition. To me, that's rather frustrating because I'm not a collector of sealed editions. I buy them to play. Unfortunately, when they turn up sealed, that causes me a dilemma because I know there are people that like to collect sealed, plus the value of them goes up. And for those that like to collect sealed, given that there are so few good condition sealed copies of games out there, it sort of makes it one of those things that you don't want to rip the cover off and remove that collectability capability for others. It's a bit of a hard one, but at some point, if it's a game that I want to play, and both of those are on my list to play, and if it's a game that you want to play, the cover's got to come off. I mean, essentially, that's what they're being printed for, is to play. One of the fantastic ones, a little bit of a departure, but Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux. I've played not completely through, but a long way through this one, and it's one that I'll put aside. I'll come back to. I play it a bit more. It's a real dungeon crawler, old school type thing, with the merging of the demons involved in it, etc. Absolutely love it. It's one of my all-time favourites on the 3DS. Really enjoy playing that one. We have a copy of Shin Megami for Apocalypse. So that's a slight variation to Shin Megami 4. I haven't gone into in detail, but I am aware that they are a different game. Here's another one that's turned up on quite a number of consoles, but in my book, it's one of those ones that is a great one to play, and that's Shovel Knight. Have had a lot of fun playing this on the 3DS. Controls really well and really enjoyable game experience on that one. And last, we have a secondary copy of Star Fox 64 3D, this one not being the select version. So when I come to selling both, I have to double check, and this is something that you should always double check. Sometimes the select versions, being the later release, have a bit more content or have the patches come out on the card. So I have to double check whether the select version has anything more than the standard release, as was the case with New Leaf. New Leaf, the select version has Welcome Amiibo compatibility in it. Star Fox 64, I'm not sure at this point. I have to do some research. Based on that research, I'll either sell the select version if they're the same, or I'll sell this version if the select version has additional content in it. Unfortunately, I don't know at this point which one, but that's it for the 3DS collection. This is part 2 completed. Quite a long video. There's quite a lot there, and some great titles there that are chased by a lot of people and are growing in value. Now, a lot of people say the 3DS is now too hard to collect for. Yeah, there are a lot of games that have gone up in price, but there is also a lot of people that have 3DS collections in their house that they are unaware of the value of, and they live in your neighbourhood. So keep an eye out for garage sales or marketplace, because at some point they do a clean out and their kids move out of home, or their kids have stopped playing with them and they're playing with the Switch. A Switch 2 will come out at some point in probably the next year, possibly even sooner, and that will be what they jump onto. Now, when you've got a household of a couple of kids where they've got this 3DS, they've got the Switch, and they're now moved into the Switch 2, they'll stop playing with the 3DS guaranteed, and it'll just be gathering the dust there. The parents don't know the value, and the parents want to just get rid of it. The kids aren't interested in it anymore, and it's at that point that you will pick up a lot of these games at a cheaper price. On eBay, yeah, they will be more expensive. And on eBay, if those types of families sell their games on eBay and you find that they're full of the Pokemons, or they've got Yokai Watch in them or something like that, you will find that unfortunately they will go up in price on eBay, because you've got multiple people having access from all around the world chasing those titles. And if they can get them in a bundle, they're generally going to be able to pick them up and sell off the parts of the bundle they don't want, just to keep the games they do want, and they're willing to pay a bit more for the bundle for that. But do your research, check the value of everything in the bundle, and understand what the value is of the things you don't want, and how much you're prepared for what's left to pay. Because you may have to pay a little bit more upfront, but you sell off those other items, and what's left is what you've paid for those few that you wanted to keep. Better still is if you can find them on Marketplace or something like that, you're working more on a one-on-one basis. And if you're getting quick before anyone else and get commitment and pick up quickly, or pay a deposit or whatever it is, then you've got a chance to pick them up at a bargain basement price before anyone else jumps on them. And that's what you really want. And that's where you will find a bundle of junk as far as you're concerned. And it's not junk to other people, but you've already got copies of it and you don't necessarily need it. But you will find the odd copy of something in there that you do want and that you are chasing. Yeah, like a Planet Robobot. And you'll be able to pick it up cheap because of that. So keep your eye out. Whether you're a player or a collector, happy hunting.